Tom Brady may be the GOAT, but that doesn't mean that he's loved by everybody.
You know, he came up to me and Earl. So who are you guys? What you mean, who are we? He looks up at the scoreboard and looks back at us. He's like, come see me after this win.
Tom Brady is one of the most polarizing players in NFL history. He's undeniably one of the most decorated and accomplished athletes to never walk the earth. But his role in the evil empire New England Patriots dynasty has really made a dent in his likability amongst NFL fans, who are tired of seeing the pretty boy quarterback win every year. In fact, it isn't just fans that drag on the guy either. Over the years, we've seen quite a few NFL players that hate number 12. So let's take a look back at the 10 NFL players who hate him the most. First up, we have Charles Woodson, who, like Brady, is an NFL legend in his own right. Woodson played in the NFL for nearly 20 years and took home a full collection of accolades, including an NFL Defensive Player of the Year award, 9 Pro Bowls, and of course his Super Bowl ring with the Packers in 2010. It's in that very lane of Super Bowl glory that makes Woodson loathe Brady, whom he believes cost him a second Super Bowl ring way back in 2002 when he was playing for the then Oakland Raiders. Ah yes, the infamous tuck rule. Automatic trigger for any Patriots hater out there. It was late in the fourth quarter and Woodson broke through the Patriots offensive line and stripped the ball from Brady, only to have the call overturned as a result of the then unheard of tuck rule. That call all but sealed the game, as the Patriots beat the Raiders to advance to the Super Bowl, where they would go on to win. Woodson explained his perspective on the call and on Brady to the NFL Network in 2014, saying the following: "Let's just get this out of the way. If they make the correct call, which they did at first, then they overturned it, this 10-game playoff streak that Tom Brady has, it never happened. Tom Brady owes me his house. I'm the reason why he's married to who he's married to. I'm a reason for a lot of that. Everything. Because they overturned that call." Quite a claim from Woodson, coming out a fellow Michigan man's wife, home, and livelihood all in one swoop.
Do you not believe the tuck rule was appropriately applied as it was written?
I do not. He had it, both hands on the ball. It's in his body. He ain't bringing it back into his body. It's a fumble.
Moving on from Woodson to a couple of other scorned defensive backs that have had some choice words for old number 12. There's Antonio Cromartie, Tyrann Mathieu, Richard Sherman, and of course, Darrelle Revis. So let's start with Antonio, who after playing for the Jets all those years and squaring off head-to-head with Brady twice a year, has plenty of reason to hate on Tom. And it all started to boil over when the Jets and Pats played back in December of 2010, and the Pats blew the doors off the Jets 45-3. During the first play of the fourth quarter, when the Pats still only had a measly 31-3 lead, Brady fired a touchdown pass to extend the lead, and then proceeded to point at the Jets sideline, showing up the opposition in classic Tom Brady fashion. Cromartie was asked about Brady's transgression after the game, and he did not mince words about how it and Brady make him feel. We see that a lot. He does it a lot, Cromartie told the Daily News. That's the kind of guy he is. We really don't give a damn, to tell you the truth. The reporter followed up and asked what kind of guy Brady is. Cromartie's answer? A-hole, according to the Daily News. That's what I think about him. I don't really give a damn about him, he said, according to the report. I don't have to play against him. I'll play against the receivers. He's doing the pointing at our defensive line and stuff like that. That's the kind of guy he is. Revis, one of Cromartie's former teammates on the Jets, had a little bit more success on the field, at least on a personal level, when he was going up against the GOAT. But that did not stop him from developing some, well, opinions regarding the then New England Patriots quarterback. Opinions that were none too lovey-dovey, to say the least. Which was a little bit surprising because some of his comments came out after he had joined New England for a year as a hired gun, where he helped Brady and the Pats to another Super Bowl title. When discussing the popular deflategate scandal involving Brady and the Pats, Revis told the New York Daily News, "Everybody's blowing it up because it is Tom Brady. I understand that. But if the NFL feels he did the crime or he did something that they want to penalize him, then that's that. The Patriots have a history of doing stuff. You can't hide that. Tom was there when they did that stuff in the past. Surely, Brady was none too pleased to see his former teammate coming out of the woodworks to implicate him in the whole deflategate mess any further. As for the other two D-backs that have had confrontations with Brady and don't appear to be too fond of him, they squared off with TB12 in the Super Bowl. Mathieu and Brady had multiple run-ins during the most recent big game between the Bucs and Chiefs. The two were repeatedly jawing at one another, and Mathieu ended up snagging an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, which did seem a little bit unfair considering Brady escaped unscathed. Even when he chased Tyron down the field to get his message out to him. Mathieu, obviously also disappointed about the outcome of the game, had some choice remarks after the loss, saying,
"Thought I played as hard as I can today. Listen, Tom Brady's a great quarterback. I never really saw that side of Tom Brady, to be honest. But whatever, no comment. It's over with. I'm done with it."
Clearly, Mathieu does not have any understanding of what no comment means, considering he passive-aggressively uttered it after making his whole comment. But whatever, as he said, I digress. Long before Brady and Mathieu were beefing on the national stage, Richard Sherman and the Legion of Boom were going head-to-head with Brady and loathing one another. Sherman went as far as publicly questioning Brady's public persona, telling reporters, "I think people sometimes get a skewed view of Tom Brady. That he's just clean-cut, does everything right, and never says a bad word to anyone, and we know him to be otherwise. But in that moment of him being himself, he said some things, and we returned the favor." Unfortunately, he apparently didn't remember what he said, but I'm sure at those moments of yelling at the ref, I'm sure he was saying, "Good job, you're doing a fantastic job, keep it up." Sherman was of course alluding to the fact that Brady's antics on the field often get attributed to competitiveness instead of simply being an a-hole, and that the officials never really hold him accountable for his actions. The two have since allegedly squashed the beef to some degree and carry a healthy level of respect for one another's career. But that does not mean that they're going to be hitting the tropics for a joint vacation anytime soon. Now, it wasn't just opposing defensive backs that are tired of Brady's antics and performance, if we're being honest about it. We've also seen a few linebackers that didn't hesitate to make some choice remarks about Brady over the years. Guys like Bart Scott, who just so happened to be another former Jet. And let's not forget about the two guys from the heated Ravens-Patriots rivalry, Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs. Perhaps it shouldn't be surprising because he's now such an outspoken member of the media, but Bart Scott was never one to bite his tongue regarding Brady, going as far as to question his toughness. In an interview, Scott told CBS Sports Radio, "There's nothing tough about Tom Brady. The toughest thing about Tom Brady is his chin because it has the dimple in it, which is characteristic of most superheroes." Scott has changed his stance a little bit now that his playing days are behind him, and he's more willing to give Brady credit these days. But there is no denying that this guy had his fair share of gripes with Brady over the years, just like Lewis and Suggs, two of the most fearsome pass rushers of their time did. Suggs has gone on record making comments that suggest that Brady's greatness is in part due to the NFL wanting him in key playoff games for ratings purposes. He's called Brady, and Belichick for that matter, the most arrogant pricks in the world, before reminding everybody that they hadn't won a Super Bowl since Spygate. Suggs actually might have the most pure hatred for Brady of anyone on this list. When he was being filmed for an E60 interview, the producers asked him for his feelings on Brady.
What do you think of Tom Brady?
I don't think that's appropriate for camera. I don't like him, he don't like me. I don't like his hair. I don't like his smug attitude.
Hatred does not get any more authentic than that. There were no concessions to him being a great player or mutual respect, just pure, unfiltered disgust. Lewis, on the other hand, you may be surprised to know, was actually willing to acknowledge Brady's greatness, saying, "Tom Brady might be the best quarterback that we've ever seen play this game. That's just factual. Now, when it comes to being hated or not, that's just me. I don't like nothing about the New England Patriots. I never have. That's just me. That's just me. That's just me because of my culture and everything we came from." But of course, because it's Ray Lewis, he did it after preaching from his glass house about how the Patriots were unethical because of the scandals and yada yada. It's almost like he thinks that the rest of the world has just forgotten about his white suit ordeal. And he also directly contradicted earlier comments he had made about Brady, in which he told the media that the only reason anyone knows who Tom Brady is because of the tuck rule, which, regardless of your feelings on Brady or the Patriots, at this point sounds patently absurd. Just because his legacy started during that AFC title game doesn't discount 20 years of sustained success. I guess, unless Ray Lewis is the one evaluating. Anyway, moving on from the possibly deranged thoughts of Ray Lewis, Brady did have a couple of fellow signal callers that loathed him as well. With all the run-ins that he and the Patriots had with the Indianapolis Colts over the years, it's no shock that Andrew Luck might have grown tired of Brady and his winning ways. There's only so many times you can get the short end of the stick in a high-stakes game against someone without developing some sort of animosity towards them. That's just the reality of competition, especially considering the fact that it was Luck's Colts that were on the wrong side of that infamous deflategate AFC Championship game. He even made a joke in the media about feeling deflated after the game. A zing! Last but not least, we have another quarterback who I am sure has had a bad taste in his mouth left by Tom Brady. That would be none other than Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, it has been all but confirmed that Brady was essentially the reason that Jimmy G was forced out of town in New England, taking him out of what could have potentially been a great situation to start off his career as a regular starter in the NFL. Apparently, it was so contentious in New England when Brady returned to play that he and Garoppolo refused to speak, which, as a young player in the league, I imagine was a challenging experience for Jimmy G. He went as far as telling CBS Sports that there were times that he and Brady wanted to kill each other. And while it was clearly hyperbolic, there is no denying that the animosity between the two was very real. But which of these 10 players were you most surprised to learn hates Tom Brady? Did we miss anyone? Join us in the comments section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.